Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be responding to a question. The question comes from, and I'm going to just read the initials. I'm not sure how to pronounce SNC. S is in Sam, N is in Nancy, C is in cat. Papa, P-A-P-A, Papa. S-N-C-P-A-P-A. This person writes to me and says, David Delman, thanks for the opportunity to ask a question. I just started studying and practicing magic about 8 months ago. As of this writing, that was August of 2023. Based on your videos, I seem to be on the right track. And he lists some things that I have recommended that people do who want to study magic. I study books like Tarbell and Mark Wilson. I am almost through volume 1 of Card College. I am video recording my practice sessions and dress rehearsals. I recently joined an IBM Ring and I performed there twice and will continue to perform there once a month. Congratulations, that's a great way to begin. However, he says, I am 59 years old. Is it already too late in life to become good to perform magic professionally? To become good enough to perform magic professionally? What are some realistic goals for someone starting out later in life like me? I would like to perform close-up and parlor magic for money, but do not rely on that solely as a sole source of income. Is it reasonable to me to think that I could do that in a few years, say 5 years, 5 years? He wants to start earning money from his magic in 5 years. Let me address this question. First of all, I've been doing magic since as far back as I can remember. I think the bug actually bit me when I was 8 years old. I saw George Goebel perform at my Cub Scout group. My dad hired him. He was the pack master at the time. And I fell in love with magic at the age of 8. I asked for a magic kit for Christmas that year. I was given a magic kit for Christmas. I learned all the tricks in the book. I went to my 3rd grade class to perform in show and tell. I started doing the magic from the magic kit, and another child in the class had gotten the same kit for Christmas. And every time I took a trick out, before I even performed it, the other kid shouted out the secret. I was embarrassed by that, but instead of discouraging me, it encouraged me to study in other ways and to learn in other ways. And I started going to the Yogi Magic Mart and studying under Phil Thomas when I was 12. I was performing in the youth group at the Yogi Magic Mart at the age of 12. And so, I did my first paid show when I was 14. It was a neighborhood birthday, and they wanted a magician, but they didn't want to pay the exuberant prices of the professionals out there, so they hired me, a 14-year-old kid, to come in for a pittance, and I did my first show, and I loved it, and the audience loved it, and so I've been doing paid shows ever since. Now, let me state this at the outset: you will never be ready. I am not ready. No one is ever ready. You have to go before you're ready. You have to get out there and do what you want to do and follow your dreams and pursue your ambitions before you are ready. If you wait until you think you're ready, that is a death trap. You will be waiting forever. I would encourage you to get out there and start performing for money right now. Right now. Get out there and do it. There's no substitute for doing it. So don't wait any longer. Don't wait 5 years. Don't keep practicing and rehearsing. Get out there and do it. I'm going to give you some guidance on how to do that. Before I get into all of that, let me give you some. We're talking about age here. Now, I come from a human resource background. I don't like the idea of discriminating against age or any other variable or factor. I think an older person starting in magic has just as much right or ability or whatever to succeed as anyone else does. But I want to give you some examples of people that that became into success later in life, not necessarily 59, but later. And by the way, before I get into that, I've always wanted, since from the time I was 14, I've always wanted to be a professional magician. Now, when I was a kid, and I was in high school, and I was telling my parents, my parents would say, "What do you want to do for a living?" And I'd say, "I want to be a magician." And they would say, "Oh, no. You can't do that for a living. You need to go to college. You need to go to college." So, I went to college. And then I wanted to be a pastor. I decided during my college years I wanted to be a pastor. So I went to seminary, and got out of seminary. I was not able to make that a career for whatever reason. And by the way, I'm working in ministry today. Thank God, praise God. I'm working in ministry today. But in addition to doing magic, so life is good. Life is good. But in the back of my head, I had a 30-year career in human resources, and doing magic part-time on the side the whole time. Now you state that you don't want to be a full-time professional. You want to be a part-time professional, which to me is really easy to do. It's really easy to do that. But let me give you some examples of people that found their success later in life. Rodney Dangerfield, arguably one of the funniest guys ever. Rodney Dangerfield struggled to find a footing in comedy. But when he was 46 years old, he gets a break on the Ed Sullivan Show. And the rest is history. 46, his career really takes off. 46. Duncan Hines. Yeah, the cake maker. Yeah, that guy. Duncan Hines. At the age of 55, he wrote his first food and hotel guides. At the age of 73, he licensed the right to use his name to a company that developed Duncan Hines cake mixes. 73 years old. Harlan Sanders. Who's that? How about Kentucky Fried Chicken? Harlan Sanders was a failure who got fired from a dozen jobs before starting his restaurant, and then failed at that. When he was out of business, he found himself broke at the age of 65. So he wants to be in the food business and restaurant business. He's 65 years old, and he's broke and a failure. 65 years old. He sold his first Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise in 1952, and the rest, as they say, is history. History. Samuel L. Jackson. The great actor, Samuel L. Jackson. Jackson was 46 years old when his career really took off, and some people point to Pulp Fiction as the moment his career really took off. Samuel L. Jackson. I was at a convention where Samuel was speaking, and there were a lot of entertainment people there, people who wanted to be actors, and he said to the crowd, "Your job," and I remembered this, and I applied it to my magic as a profession. "Your job," he said, "is to find business. The acting, or in our case, performing magic, that's the gravy on the top. Your job is to get out there, beat the bushes, and find the business. That's the work of being a professional or semi-professional magician or an actor. You got to get out there and find the business. It does not come to you. You have to go find it. You have to make it." Laura Ingalls Wilder published her first books at the age of 65. 65. Now, if you'd said to any of these people, "You're too old, give up," the world would be much poorer for it. Let me tell you something. You have a gift. You have a gift, and you owe it to yourself and to the world to get out there and use that gift. And in your case, the gift is magic. So get out there and do it. Now, let me answer some of your questions directly. You say you're 59. I'm 63, going to be 64 shortly. I'm just now beginning to live the life that I've always dreamed of living. I'm doing part-time ministry and to the extent possible full-time magic. Now, I will be honest with you, I'm not making nearly as much money doing magic and ministry combined as I made in human resources as an HR manager. I'm not doing that. But, you know, I'm making it. I'm making it. I'm kind of eking by, but I'm making it. So don't think that you're ever too old. None of us know how much time we have. You say, "Oh, I'm 59." Well, you know what? You could be a centenarian. You might live to be 100. If that's the case, you're just barely halfway there. So come on, man. None of us know how long we have. The point is to enjoy what you're doing in the moment and give it your best in this moment. Does it bring life to you? And does it bring life to others? That's the question. The question isn't how old am I? Or am I old enough or too old? The question is, do you love what you do? And when you share it, do other people love it too? That's the question. Now you ask another question. Is it already too late in life to become good enough to perform magic professionally? No. To answer the question shortly, no. No. You can learn the classics, and I'm going to do a series on classics. I would recommend that you learn the classics and perform the classics and use them as a basis for your career. And the classics, because they're classic for a reason. One of the reasons they're classics is because they're relatively easy to do and they're high impact. So learn the classics. What you really need is time in front of an audience. That's what you really need. That's going to give you confidence. It's going to tell you whether or not you really like it to begin with. Because if you don't like going out and performing, then obviously this is not for you. But if you get out in front of an audience, and I'm not talking about the IBM guys, I'm talking about a lay audience. Get out in front of a lay audience and see how the interaction is. If you enjoy it, keep it up. If you don't enjoy it, stop, do something else. It's really that simple. The important thing is that you enjoy the journey and that the people you're sharing your gift with enjoy it as well. Now, you go on to ask some more questions. What are some realistic goals for someone starting out later in life like me? I would like to perform close-up and parlor magic for money, but I don't want to rely on that as a sole source of income. Is it reasonable for me to think that I could do that in a few years, say 5 years? You know, it's reasonable for me to think that you could do that within a few months, not 5 years. And as I said earlier, go out and do it. Now, you say you want to do close-up. Most close-up performers are doing restaurant magic. You may, well, gosh, man. You know, to me, it's pretty difficult to land a residence, what they call a residence. However, many magicians will tell you that the best gateway into professional performing is to land a residence for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're doing a routine of magic, say a set of magic that might be 3 or 4, maybe 2 effects long, and you're doing that, repeating it over a 2 or 3 hour period while you're there in the evening at a restaurant. Because you're going from table to table, and the tables are constantly changing, so you're constantly doing, and there's just no better way. There's no better way to become a proficient magician than to do magic for lay people. And there's no better opportunity to do that than in a restaurant. So you might say, well, gosh, how do I do? Well, you're probably going to some restaurants right now. I would venture to guess that there are some favorite restaurants that you enjoy visiting. At some point, ask to speak to the manager or ask to speak to the owner. And not necessarily sell them, but get to know that person. Say, look, this is what I do. I eat here constantly. This is what I do. Would you might be interested in having me perform? And be prepared to do some magic, because he's going to ask you, show me what you do. So be prepared to do that. And you know, you might have to do it. You might have to demonstrate your ability before you get paid. You might say, well, look, I'll do a few nights for you. And the pay is not necessarily that big, but what you're going to get, you're going to get experience. You're going to get a lot of experience, and you're going to get referrals from that. So, you know, if you're interested in close-up magic, that's really the way to go. I would encourage you to do that. Parlor. You want to start in parlor magic. I recommend that you reach out to your local retirement centers, your assisted living facilities, your retirement facilities. Reach out, offer. Again, the pay isn't that great in that market, and you want to make sure that you're not overpricing yourself in that market. Maybe you do a couple for volunteers just to see how you like it, and then get to know some other magicians in the area. Find out what the going rate is in your area. But I recommend that you do that to get started. Look at picking up a residency in a restaurant, and look at doing some retirement centers. And if you do that, you'll get performance experience in front of lay people, and I think you'll get where you want to go. So, hey, thank you so much for the question. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you've not done so already. Please comment down below. Have a great day, everyone.